What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Things I Wish I Knew. Today I have a special guest on. She is Albanian. She is a pharmacy student. She does a lot of things, and I met her through my homie. And guys, welcome, and ladies, welcome, Enejada Hoja.
Hello, thanks for having me, Billy.
Hey, no problem. So how's it going? How is this? How is the whole COVID thing going? Where we're at in
Good.
Chicago? How is?
It's going good. Actually, me and Ben, like, I don't know if you talked about it on your podcast when you had him on, but we actually just had COVID like 3 weeks ago. We got through that. I have no idea how I got it. I was the first one exposed, and then Ben got it. It's just kind of crazy because it's so weird. You don't know how like the virus is gonna affect you. But we got through it, and then we just took a trip to Colorado as well. We went skiing, and now we're back in Chicago, and then we're
Yeah.
starting school again. So getting through that.
So what was it like having like COVID? Was it just like pretty much like the flu kind of?
So it was so weird. I honestly like I felt completely fine, and then on Christmas Day I had a fever. I woke up with a fever, and then I was like, you know what, like this is weird. Like, well, I don't know why I'm having a fever, so I'm gonna go take a test just to be safe. I went and took a rapid test. 15 minutes later, they told me I like tested positive, and then from that day, I had another day of fever, and then on day three, I lost my taste and smell, which was so weird. That was the weirdest thing for me because you could,
Yeah.
in my head, I knew like what the food that I was eating should taste like, but it literally just tasted like I was eating plastic. Like it
Mm.
was so strange.
I feel like that's like a lot of like the symptoms that people have is like they can't like taste shit and they can't smell stuff. Like that's like a
Yeah,
weird thing.
the smelling wasn't really bothering me that much, but the taste was just so weird. It's like
Yeah.
I was like still having like cravings, like I was craving like a lot of food, but like I was like I literally cannot taste anything.
Yeah. So
So
so I want to get into like the childhood of like being like Albanian and stuff.
yeah.
What is that like? What was that like growing up as like a child? And were you born in America? Were you?
No, so I was born in Albania. I lived there for the first 10 years of my life. We moved to America in 2006, so 15 years ago, almost
Mm.
16 years.
And what was that like? What was that like? Growing up in Albania.
It was definitely different than all of my friends that grew up in America. Like with us, Albania is a really poor country. I'll just throw that out there right now. It is a poor
Yeah.
country. It's completely different than like people here or like how people think that it is.
Hmm.
We lived in a small like village almost, so our school was like a really small school. We had the same teacher like all throughout grade 1 through 6,
Mm.
and then like you would move to like a different city for like middle school and high school.
Mm.
So everyone in my town like went to the same school. We all like knew each other. Everyone in the town knew each other. But I think what I think is weird, that like people here like never really went through, like kids my age. I honestly feel like I lived like people did like in like the 20s or something. Like we did not have like color TV until I was probably like 6 or 7. So we
That's
had
wild.
like black and white TV. We had like cassette tapes. Like it was weird.
Yeah.
It
Uh,
was different.
what is like the day to day like? What was like the day to day like besides like school and stuff? Like what was like a fun thing that you would do as a child in Albania? What is like the what is like the relationship between like the boys and the girls and like what is it like to be like a man and what is it like to be like a woman in Albania? Like what is
So
that like?
I definitely think boys are treated completely different than girls in Albania. But as a kid, we would go to school, and then I think kids in Albania have more freedom than kids do in America. Like we would play outside literally the entire day.
Yeah.
Like our parents, we would tell our parents we're going to like our friend's house. Like everyone knew each other, so they didn't even worry about where we were. We would literally just play outside. We'd play soccer, we'd play volleyball. It was just a lot of outdoor activities. We didn't have like phones, we didn't have tablets, we didn't have like any of that stuff the kids do nowadays. So it was literally just us playing outside. But the thing I think it was kind of weird, it was like if you were a girl, you'd have to like, if you had a brother like your brother, you'd go like where your brother went. So like you like I
Hmm.
feel like your parents like wanted you to have like a male
Like a
presence
figure, yeah.
in your family. Yeah. So I think boys are definitely treated different than
Yeah.
girls there,
I
which
mean,
is like what you would expect.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the same with because in my family, like, you know, my little brothers and my little sisters always had to follow me wherever I was going because they're like, oh, you need a male figure. I think it's kind of like the same with like black like families and stuff, because like the men, you're like, okay, you have to protect everybody because like you're like the strong like you know male figure. I can definitely like you know relate to that a little bit. So what is like the food? What is the food like a tradition and like a traditional like Albanian like you know like dish and like you know like a spread? What is like dinner like? You know?
Oh my God. So let me just say that food in Albania and food in America is like not even comparable. Like when we
Yeah.
first moved here and I had my first meal, I was like, what is this stuff? Like we had a huge garden. So we had like everything you could possibly need, we had in our garden. We
Hmm.
had trees, we had like fruit trees, literally had everything. We had a butcher down the shop from like our place. So you would literally walk in and he'd be like slaughtering like a cow or like a veal or whatever. You could like get like meat was so fresh. So my mom, she did not work in Albania, so she would like be home.
Hmm.
She would make our own bread. We'd make our own bread. One like really popular Albanian meal is burek. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's basically like filet dough that you stuff with either meat, cheese, or spinach.
Mm.
So that's really popular. And then everything else I think is like Mediterranean. So it is like a Greek influence, I would
Yeah.
say. So it's a lot of like just fresh fruits
Yeah.
and fresh like vegetables.
So are a lot of because I know there's like you know some Greek people that have like arranged marriages and stuff like that. I even know like some African homies that got like arranged marriages and stuff like that. How does like for like you know someone that's Albanian, like how does like your family or like things like that like view? Because I know you're in a relationship with Ben. How
Mhm.
do they like that? What do they think about that?
So a lot of my family in Albania still like they still do arranged marriages. A lot of people in Albania still do. Well, when I left them, they still did. I don't know how things have changed nowadays. We were
Hmm.
actually supposed to go to Albania in the summer, but COVID hit.
Yeah.
So I don't know how like things are now. But when I left, a lot of people were still like doing arranged marriages. My
Hmm.
parents love Ben. I told my
Yeah.
parents from the beginning that like when we moved here, I was like, I don't want to marry an Albanian person. Like I just don't want to.
Yeah.
So they always kind of knew that I was like gonna end up with someone else. But
Hmm.
they love Ben. I mean, respect is like a huge, huge, huge thing with Albanians. Like if you
Hmm.
show them respect or if you're respectful and if you have like um manners and all that stuff, they love you. So and Ben is definitely a very respectful
Yeah.
man. So
Yeah, that's dope. Cause for like you know in black culture sometimes you know they'll be like, oh, you're dating someone outside of your race, you're such a traitor, blah 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 blah. So like it's nice to hear that like you know in other you know cultures like that like Albanian culture like you know your parents are pretty like cool with it.
yeah,
Cause you know my like my parents like they'll like it's not like they're saying don't like date someone outside of your race, but they're like, oh, we prefer you to date someone inside of your race. Like
yeah,
because people act like you know racism and stuff like that is only within like you know like it's only for white people and stuff like that. I'm like, no, black people are racist as fuck too. Everyone's fucking. I don't even really think of it as like racism. They're just like we just prefer you to be with your like you know come on be with us like
yeah.
it's just weird. I think it's just weird that like you know we're still like even in America, we're still like in like these like closed minds of like you know what we think like who we should be with, what we should do, what we should listen to. What's the music like speaking of like listening to, what's the music like in Albania? Like who's like a pop like what would be like a popular song like in Albania?
Um, so Dua Lipa is actually Albanian and she's like really
Yeah.
popular, but she just does like American songs or whatever.
Hmm.
But there's this one Albanian rapper that's really popular. I really don't listen to Albanian music that much, but his name's Noisy. I don't know, you might want to check him
I think
out.
I've
He's like
actually
a
heard
really
of it.
popular.
I think I've actually heard that name before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his name's Noisy. I think all most Albanian like singers or rappers or whatever are based off of England. So a lot of them literally just moved to England and then that's how they
Mm.
get discovered. But some of them do like Albanian stuff, like Noisy, like he like does like Albanian rap, but then like the rest of them just I think stick with like English stuff.
Mm. So like I know like Jewish people have like a very like close knit like group. I know like a lot of different Greek people have a close knit group. I know Africans, Asians, they have a close knit group. Is out do Albanians like have like that close knit group? And then like do they have like other like you know do they like fuck with the Jewish people and then they got like the and you got like your Greeks over there? Like it's like how does that like how is that structure like that social structure like?
I definitely think Albanians have like their own group. Like I could spot an Albanian from a mile away. Like I know what they look like. I know how they act. We like know each other. They
Yeah.
don't like Serbs. Like that's like a known thing. Like Albanians hate Serbian people. They really don't like a lot of other like they really just like our own. Like we Albanians just like they think I don't know, man. I think they just like really like hold themselves to like a high standard.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't like Greek people that much. They don't like Serbians. They don't like Polish people that much. I don't think. So they really just like other Albanians.
Is that just that due to like you know like history and stuff and like the things
Yeah,
that and
definitely.
like war because like I listen like most of like my like the things that I know about Albania is through you know Action Bronson, Big Body Bess, and
Yeah.
like listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History because I learned a lot about from what I learned about the Turks is what like that's what I learned about like you know like Albania because you know it's kind of like because Albania is like in like that middle piece of like you
Mhm.
know it's like you know you got Greece and then you got like Turkish
Yeah.
like and like it's just like they're like pretty much in the middle and the Turks were trying to like you know run shit and then you got the Greeks that were trying to run shit so like it was just pretty much all in the middle. It's kind of like Armenia kind of like how like kind of
Yeah. So I wish like my dad would have been on here because he could literally talk about this stuff for days. But basically what I've learned from like my dad telling me about it and stuff, because I did not take a history class when I was in Albania in school. So I was actually like just like asking my dad about it and stuff, and they were it was like a communistic or whatever country up until 1991.
yeah.
So then when they moved away from communism, they like became like the thing that they are now in 1998, which isn't even that long ago. So they've been a mess. Their government has literally been a mess. But basically, I honestly think from what my dad has told me, like I feel like Greek people and like the Ottoman empires and stuff, they've like stolen a lot of our culture, which
Yeah.
is what like a lot of like Albanians say. Like the Serbs, like Serbian people, there was a war between like Kosovo. I don't know if you like
Mm-hmm.
read about that. So like
Yeah.
Kosovo was like basically like in like the Serbian Macedonian control, and they just became their own country. But
Mm.
they like speak Albanian. So I think a lot like a lot of Macedonians even like speak Albanian, and they're their own country. So it's like it's a lot of like messed up like culture. I don't know. I think like the history there is so old that I honestly think it's just been like scattered throughout the other countries around it.
Yeah, and that's why like I actually want to visit like countries like Armenia and Albania and I just hope that like most of like those like the past like structures and like artifacts you know are still there and like you know the time you know hopefully like, the time when I get there I hope there's not because in Armenia you got that whole thing going on like the Turks and stuff and
Yeah.
I just hope that you know some of this stuff can like be preserved so people can actually see like like that real culture because we see now like the after effects of you know other countries invading places like Africa. Like you can't really see all the old artifacts like in like their purest form because they're sitting
I
somewhere in
know.
a museum. And
It's so true. Yeah.
yeah, and like I just hope that like you know one day like we can all like you know resolve like these old problems, but it just starts with you know just one side admitting that they were wrong, and I don't think that like you know that's gonna happen anytime soon.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think so. No.
yeah.
We're actually supposed to go to Albania this upcoming summer, so we had to postpone our trip. So hopefully, if everything goes to, as planned, we're gonna go this summer, and then maybe me and Ben could do a podcast afterwards, after like what we see there and stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be dope. So, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
So I have an older brother and an older sister.
Okay.
There's the three of us.
What were they like to you? You know, living in like Albania. Like, what were they like? Like, do they speak like the language very fluently? Do you speak the language fluently too?
Yeah, yeah. So we all speak the language. We all write it. We all read it fluently because our parents still like don't speak English that well. So we communicate with them like in
Mm.
Albanian, although like sometimes it's like all like mixed up English and Albanian. But yeah, I still like speak to like my family back there, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles. So
Yeah.
we all speak the language. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's important to like know though, because like a lot of people in America don't speak other languages. And I like,
Hmm.
why would I give that up if I was born there, you know?
Yeah. So like if you let's just say you have a child, you expect your child to speak Albanian. Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is the language Albanian, or is it like a different
No, it's Albanian. It's Albanian. So
okay.
it's based off of Latin, but I was looking at this map of like other languages and how they were developed. And Albania has like been Albanian like the whole time. Like there's like no
Hmm.
like other branch of it. So it's based off of Latin. I know there's like similar words in Albanian that are like in Spanish as well. But it's like its own thing. There's like nothing else like it.
Mm. So like how deep is how deep are Albanians in Chicago? Like is it like a very dense like population, um or is it just like or is it like how like like how like the Jewish people are in like Chicago? Is it like very dense, or is it like not like that many?
I I don't think so. I think it's like scattered. So the way that we moved here and the way that like most Albanians move here, it's basically like a lottery system. So you
Mm,
apply, like when you're in Albania, you apply, and then you fill out a bunch of paperwork and you get picked to like have a citizenship in America. So if you get picked, which is like what happened with us, someone in America that like lives wherever city you want to go in has to vouch for you. So
mm,
then basically they like write a letter to the embassy. So whoever the person that vouches for you is, you have to like live with them when you get here for like a week or whatever until you like find a
mm,
place. So I feel like that's how like Albanians are like located. It's like wherever they moved into when they like first moved here.
mm.
So like we moved into Elmwood Park, which is like a bunch of other Albanian families live there. But then obviously like we moved out of that town.
Yeah. So what was that move like to from Albania to America? What was that like?
It was so crazy. It was so crazy. We moved. I moved when I was in fourth grade, so I had to repeat a grade because we moved in April of 2006, and
Mm,
I didn't finish fourth grade in Albania because it's like mid year.
mm,
So I wasn't allowed to like just come here and go to school. So it was so different. None of my family spoke a word of English. Like we did not know anything. We didn't know anything about this country. So we moved here, and then my parents got jobs. My brothers, my brother, my sister, and myself were off for like that summer, and so we could go to school in the fall.
mm,
And we were in ESL classes for like 2-3 years that we were in school, but until we learned English, but it was so different. It was so hard.
mm. So like is your parents' English pretty good, or is it still like, choppy?
No, I would say it's still choppy because it's so much easier for like kids to learn a new language than it is for older people, and they're both like in their 50s,
Yeah.
so it was difficult for them to learn it for sure.
How did you feel when you like first like came to like America? Like what was that like when you were like looking around, like so were you in Chicago when you first came? Was that like your first experience?
We were in a suburb of Chicago, so we stayed
Oh,
there
okay,
for a
okay.
few months. But when we would come to Chicago, like it's so different. From the village that we moved in, it was so small, and like moving to a big city was definitely a big, big, big like culture shock.
Like were
It
you
was
just
big.
like what the hell is all this shit? Like
Yeah, I remember my first night. I was like, oh my god, like it was like because like the buildings, like everything, the structure, everything here is so different. So it was definitely a huge shock for all of us, I think.
Yeah. So what was it like going to school and like not really like speaking English? Like what was that like? How were the kids like? How did the
Kids
kids like treat you? And
Kids are awful. Kids are so mean. So one like big misconception or whatever is that Albania and Arabia are like the same country. Like I don't know why people like think that. So 2006, it was like right after, like a few years after like 9/11 happened. So kids would literally bully me because they thought I was Arabian and they thought that I was like a terrorist. So I got called a terrorist for
oh
like
my
the first
God.
2 years of my school life. Yeah, it was rough.
Oh man. So
Yeah.
Albania is not even close to how close is Albania to Arabia? They're not even like
No,
near each other.
no,
Arabia
it's
is
not even.
like yeah, they're like not even yeah, like that's like the honestly that's not even like that's kind of retarded.
Yeah, it's like it's not even the same
Yeah.
like continent.
Yeah, that's not even on the same like piece of land. Like that's
Yeah.
way far off. Like because that's like desert, and you're like not even desert. Like that's like
No, it's
yeah,
completely different. It's completely
yeah.
different. But like I mean, like kids didn't know, like they didn't know what Albania was. Like so it was rough. And then like none of us spoke English. Like I didn't speak English going to school. So like I remember this is like a memory that I have, but I was in fourth grade when we moved here, and in elementary school, we weren't allowed to put like locks on our lockers, but my
Mm.
siblings were in high school. So they like had to put like the locks on the locker. So I put a lock on my locker in fourth grade, and the teacher was like trying to explain to me, like, oh, like we don't do that here. Like the lockers like cannot be locked. And I had no idea what she was saying. So she had to like go find like an older student that spoke Albanian to like explain to me like that I could not like put this
Oh.
damn lock in my locker. And I have like such a vivid memory of it because I did not know what she
Because
was
it was
trying
probably
to tell me.
traumatic. It was probably, was it like
Yeah.
really, it was traumatic because you're like I don't know what's going on, like
I
and
know, it
then
was
like the
so
teachers.
stressful. Like I have these like vivid memories of like teachers like trying to like explain things to me, and I literally had no idea what they were saying.
Yeah. Okay. So so when do you think you picked up on like English and like all the slang and stuff? Like what grade do you think you picked that up?
So I think sixth grade. So I was in the ESL classes for 2 years, so fourth grade and fifth grade, and then sixth grade they were like, all right, like you're ready to go back to like normal classes. So sixth grade is when I was
Mm.
like in normal classes and got like grades. Because for the first 2 years that I was in my ESL classes, I didn't get any grades. And then sixth grade is like when I started having like real like subjects and like real grades.
Mm.
So I would say sixth grade,
Okay.
which is
Um
like weird.
so what was like your what was high school life like? How did you like so were there the school that you went to, was it pretty much like was like a good population of Albanian kids that you could just hang around with and like talk to? Was your group mainly Albanian friends or like
No,
was it very
I did not have
diverse?
any. No, I did not have any Albanian friends growing up. So the high school that I went to was for our town, which was the Elmwood Park. I think there might have been like maybe like two other Albanians in my class, but I
Mm,
didn't really speak to them. No, I had like my own group of friends.
yeah.
My
Um
high school was really diverse though. It was a mixture of like all like Europeans, like
mhm.
Hispanics.
That's
It
dope.
was
So like one of the things I just thought I started thinking about it, how you said that like you know like kids could just do whatever they want and like just chill in Albania. You guys weren't really worried about like you know someone getting kidnapped. Was that like were things like that even going on? Like you know obviously kids get kidnapped every day, but like was that like one of like the fears that like you know people had in Albania?
I honestly don't think so, no, because everyone in my town knew each other. And in Albania is so different than here. Like if something happened to a kid or like if like an adult like messed with a kid, or they would literally just kill you.
Yeah.
Like the parent would literally just like kill that person. So like no one even tried messing with any kids there, especially like
Yeah.
in the town that we lived in.
See, that's like that's the thing that like you know I think smaller cities in like you know the United States like have like kind of because like in where I'm from you know you could pretty much do that too, like you could just be out all night and stuff and like your parents know where you're at, but in like big cities like Chicago and stuff like that like you have to kind of be really strict on your
Yeah,
kids because kids get kidnapped every day out there.
so crazy.
Yeah, and like like that to me, like you know, coming from like if I was coming from like Albania, where you know you could just kick it outside, and then now you come into Chicago where people are getting shot, people get robbed, people you have to worry about so many different things. You got to worry about getting hit by cars. Like
Yeah.
there's so many different like variables. Like what were your parents like? Mostly like your parents like concerns, like you know, moving from Albania to like the United States.
So my parents, the reason why my parents moved here, and this is like another thing that I wanted to talk about, because I hate when like I see things on Twitter from like kids that have like studied abroad or kids that have like visited Europe but like haven't lived there. They're
Mm-hmm.
always talking about how like bad America is and how like they want to get out of this country, but it's literally like people in other countries are literally coming here
They
for
want to come
better
here.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like why my parents did, and I hate when like people like yeah, you could move into a different country in Europe if you have money, and you'd have like a great life, but people in these countries that don't have money would love to live here. Like in America we literally have like everything we could ask for. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so convenient to get something that you want,
Mm-hmm.
whereas in other countries like that's like that it's like a mission for some people to like get these things.
For water, it's a mission to get water,
Exactly, yeah, like
get
like
vegetables, and
basic
like yeah.
necessities, yeah. So that's why like I hate when like I see stuff like that and I'm like, oh my God, like you don't know like how other countries are. So my parents moved here because like education was like the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if I was still in Albania right now, I'd probably be like married with kids and like have like be like hating my life because like I probably wouldn't be allowed to go to school.
Yeah.
So education is like a huge thing for my parents. So their like number one thought of like coming here is like, okay, like you guys are gonna go to school. That's why we're moving here. But I mean, they like left everything behind. Like my mom's like parents are there, like all her siblings are in Albania, like same with
Mm-hmm.
my dad. So I was so hard for them. Like, I mean, I can't even imagine like how stressed they must have been.
Yeah.
Like us, like we were kids, we were like excited, but I can't even imagine moving to a different country with like 3 kids.
Okay. So like my girlfriend's stepfather is from Jordan, and when he came here, he had like, because like I'm pretty sure your family like knew someone that was already established pretty much here.
Yep.
It feels
Mhm.
like people like immigrants that come over here, like when like if they know someone, like they put each other on. It's like a like I want to make my life better so I can make your life better, and like we can all build this thing. And I feel like a lot of people that are already born in America, whether they're like I'm just gonna say black and white people and some Latinos and stuff, but actually Latinos do be putting each other on, but mainly black and white people, like they don't have that same like mindset, like I'm gonna put you on or I'm gonna put myself in a better position to help you out. Like I feel like it's pretty much I want to catch you doing something that you weren't supposed to be doing and I'm gonna rat you out. I feel like the camaraderie and like the community is like way like I feel like it's just like I feel like a lot of people should adopt that kind of like system of like living. Not like and I think it comes from like it does, I think it does a little bit comes from like communism. Do you think like that kind of like like the collective like thinking kind of?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, when we moved here, like my parents got jobs from like other Albanians that they knew. Like my dad like still like helps out like any Albanian person that he possibly can. Like he like wants to
Mm-hmm.
get them jobs and like get them like all settled in. So I definitely think it's like, but I also think it's like because like we know the struggle. So like we know or like other people like knew what they went through. So they wanted us to like have a better opportunity. It's just like I feel like a lot of like Americans that have like been born here, they really have not struggled much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like a lot of them have, but
Mm-hmm.
most people that I know like have not had anywhere like near the struggles that I have personally had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just like knowing what like you've been through and then just wanting someone else to like have a better path, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
What is some of the like wildest like traditions that you've witnessed in Albanian culture that like what's like a crazy like tradition that you would be like, oh, I want to show someone this to like see what they would like, how they would feel about it. Like what's like a crazy like tradition that you because like I was born in a Christian family. So like we have like communion, and then like you're eating like the bread, which is supposed to be like the flesh of of Jesus, and then you're drinking
Okay.
like the wine, which is like the blood of Jesus. So I'm just like,
Mm.
we're pretty much eating, fake flesh, which is a cracker, and we're drinking fake blood, which is wine. And I'm like, this is actually pretty wild. So like, what is like a wild like tradition in like Albanian culture?
I'd probably say on Easter, or it's called whatever, like Easter for us. It's kind of like Easter, but it's not like, like it's not like a Catholic thing. They slaughter like a lamb. So like every family like gets a lamb and you like literally slaughter this lamb in your backyard.
Damn, like, did you like what was like going through your like? So you've seen it, like you've seen it happen. What was going through your head when you like saw like that like happen? Like, what was like
I
your?
feel like it was just so normal though.
Uh,
Like I feel like an American kid would get freaked out, but for us like that was normal.
yeah, because I feel like because like in like those kind of areas, you like I would say most like do people mostly like I wouldn't say hunt for their food, but like you have to like you got people that like grow their own vegetables and stuff, and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
you're and then like you like there's like war there was war in like certain parts of the area, so like because in America we didn't really have war in our own country. Like some people had literally they because like ever since everything's like so connected in the area where Albania is to everything else, you literally had war next door to where you were at.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like, did you witness any of that kind of like, did you like see or like
So
hear or?
I was actually born during the Civil War in Albania. I don't remember
Mhm.
much, but like my siblings do, like where like literally like it was like a war. Like it started because the government had like some like pyramid scheme that they were like trying to like finesse the people.
Mhm.
So it was literally like I think it ended in 1998, which is 2 years after I was born. I don't remember any of it, but I was literally born during the Albanian Civil War, and
That's
like
crazy.
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Cause like, and that's another thing that Americans like don't realize, like on of like how good we actually have it. Like people talk about, uprising and civil war, and I'm just like, do you really want a civil war where everyone has guns, where everyone like people don't realize how many guns are in America opposed to as like how many guns are in Albania, how many guns are in like
Yeah,
Greece, and how many guns are in all these other areas like like Turkey and stuff. Like we literally like there's more guns than there are people like in America. Like people
that's
don't realize,
crazy.
yeah, people don't realize. You guys are talking about civil war. Like you guys don't live like like that life. Like you guys don't live that lifestyle. Like it's
No,
just
that's
crazy how
crazy.
people talk about wanting civil war and stuff like that. Like there's people that literally are living like like a civil war right now, and it's hell. People
I
don't
know.
like it. People don't
No,
want it,
I
and they
mean,
don't like it.
no, like obviously, no, no, no. I feel like people in
Yeah.
America just like say a lot of things and they like either like don't think it through or like don't like know like what like the precautions of it would be. I don't know.
Yeah, or they glorify it, or they glorify like they glorify like civil wars and stuff in other countries. And I'm like, do you guys think that they wanted to have a civil war? Do you think that
No,
they wanted to have any of that kind of stuff? Like they didn't
yeah,
want that.
no,
You think the French want to like just riot in the streets for no reason? Like,
nope.
yeah. So, since you were in the city when like most of like the riots and stuff were going on, what was that like for you? What was that like? What was that
So
experience?
the biggest impact that it had like on like myself and Ben is that when like the rioting and looting was going on, they got into our pharmacies, which like we work at, and then it like messed everything up. So for me, like in my opinion, I was like, I don't care if you like go riot, but like leave the pharmacies alone. These people like need their medications. So
Yeah.
it was a mess, like trying to
Mhm.
get everything back together. And then patients would be calling like nonstop, trying to get their medications, like they couldn't get them transferred somewhere else. So that was like a big thing. And then we were actually talking to my dad about it, and I asked him, I was like, oh, like what would happen if like people in Albania like rioted, or like if like they like stormed the Capitol there and like
They'd
did
be
something. And
shot.
my dad was like, they'd shoot you. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they'd be
they'd
shot.
literally shoot you.
Yeah. And like that's another thing that people don't realize. Like in other countries like that, like go to like we have it so good to where we could kneel like for our national anthem. I'm like, go kneel when when Albania and like go kneel for the Albanian national anthem. They'll probably beat the shit out of you. Like they'll probably like go
Yeah,
kneel
that's
and
true.
for like the Chinese national anthem. They'll beat the shit out of you. Like we have it so good here, and like we have so many freedoms of like expression and speech that like I feel
We,
like we're
I
really
think
taking
so
it for
too.
granted.
Yeah.
We're really taking it for granted.
I
And
think so. And then another thing, I was talking to my aunt about like COVID and everything going on there. And she said that there's literally like police officers in the streets with like guns, like AR-15s or whatever. And if like they like literally patrol the streets, she said she was walking and she had her mask like under her nose and she was
mhm.
outside walking. And a cop went up to her and was like, ma'am, like you need to put your mask on or like we're like ticketing you. So they're like in the streets, like ticketing people for not wearing masks, like outside. Imagine if like there was police officers in America like ticketing people for not
It'd
wearing
be
their masks.
crazy.
They would Americans would not be okay with that.
No.
Like I feel like people are like making such a big deal about wearing masks in like stores or like in public places.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine trying to tell them to wear a mask like outside anywhere they go.
Yeah, like and that's like another like thing. Like I'm just like if you wanna like if you walk into someone's like establishment and the only way that this person can keep their business open is by wearing a mask, wear a mask. Like
People are just so dumb. Like it's so
yeah,
annoying to me. Like it's been what, like 6 months, 7 months now. Like you should be
yeah.
used to wearing a damn mask.
Yeah, like that's like my thing. Like you can't walk into someone else's like establishment because like that's the only for right now. It's the only way for businesses to stay afloat. And I'm just like, if you guys are pro business or whatever, just wear the mask in the business. And then if you want to go
Yeah.
outside and not wear a mask, like go outside and don't wear the mask. But if you're gonna go into someone else's business and you believe that business should be open and you want these mom and pop stores to be open, just wear the mask when you go inside these businesses. But
I
if
know, it's so weird. It's crazy. And then like the amount of videos that I see on Twitter of like people like making a huge scene about not wearing a mask, like, okay, then stay home. Don't
yeah.
go anywhere.
I look at it. I look at it on both sides. Like people make a big scene about like I don't want to wear this mask, and then you got people that will literally get in your face and be like, "Wear the fucking mask," and I'm just like, everyone is just raged out. Like I feel like the tension is so high. Like I don't really feel the tension because I'm in a smaller city, like smaller like Midwest cities. Like they're like pretty laid back and chill. They're not really worried about the things that are like going on and like bigger cities. We have like our own like little city like problems to worry about. And
Yeah.
like
Well,
but
I feel like people in little cities are also like way nicer than people in Chicago. Like people in Chicago are rude. So rude.
it's because there's too many people.
Yeah.
Like you become desensitized to like people at the end of the day. Like because anytime I go to Chicago and I see homeless people, I see people walk past them, I give them money because like I'm not used to seeing homeless people all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm not used to like seeing that kind of like stuff. Like I'm just like, oh man, like people are just walking past this dude. I'm like, I'm gonna give him some money. But I feel like I feel like people became like so desensitized to like people in bigger
I
cities that
agree.
they're just rude to them. Like
I know, I agree. It's true.
yeah.
I think so.
So do you actually before I ask this question, I want to go into like your schooling. So like what made you decide to like go into like the field of study that you're going into, and like for people that don't know, like what is your field of study?
So I'm currently in pharmacy school. I am the first college graduate like in my family, and then I was
That's
like, you
what's
know
up.
what, I'm going to graduate school. So now I'm doing my PharmD in pharmacy. I feel like the healthcare field was always kind of like pushed on me. So going back to my mom was the smartest like person in her class. Like she loved chemistry, she loved math. She was like really, really, really smart. She was not allowed to go to college in Albania because that's how things were back then. So she just got married and like started having a family.
Mm-hmm.
So she has always like pushed school on me and like how much like she loved it and all that stuff. So I feel like she like lives like vicariously through me.
Yeah.
So she always like pushed me in that direction. And then I don't know why, but Albanians think that pharmacy is like such a good field to be in. So like almost every Albanian person that I know that lives like in the city, like their kid is in pharmacy school.
Yeah, like I feel
So it was really just pushed on me.
yeah, I feel like I see like I don't know if they're Albanian or not. I feel like there's because whenever I walk into like a Walgreens, I see like are Albanian men like pretty short? Are they short? Are they?
No.
No, they're not short. Okay. Because like I've seen like
I
I feel
mean,
like this
some might
guy.
be.
Yeah. Because like I see like this he kind of looks Albanian. I'm just like it's like always someone that kind of has like a little like Mediterranean background that works in
Yeah.
like the pharmaceutical field. Um,
He's probably Albanian.
yeah. I feel like being a pharmacist is like would be like more like. Do you think it's stressful? Do you think it's a stressful like job?
It's it's definitely really stressful, but honestly, I really like working like retail pharmacy. My parents, like when they moved here, they didn't know, obviously they didn't know English, they didn't know anything. So my
Mhm.
parents have had a lot of good interactions with pharmacists, like trying to save them money on like whatever their medications. And I love when I get to like a lot of people that come into my pharmacy don't have insurance, which is like how a lot of people in America are. They don't have insurance or they can afford like expensive medication. So I love when I get to like save people money on their medications, and they're always so thankful. So I love the interactions that I have with my patients. I love it, but it's definitely really stressful because people don't understand that we're so busy, and if something's not ready, like we can get it ready as soon as we can, but we can't get it ready in like 2 minutes.
Mhm.
There's like other patients here, so people like don't understand what we do back there. I think people just think that we count pills and put them in bottles and that's it, but it's not like that.
Yeah, to me, like, cause like I remember, I was just, I was just like sitting, just waiting for, I think it was something for my girlfriend. I was grabbing something from Walgreens. I was just waiting, and I was just like seeing like the pharmacists and stuff like in the back, and all these people are like complaining and like yelling and stuff. I'm like, God damn! I'm like, yeah, the pay is good, but like all the shit you got to deal with, and like
I
because
know.
especially like in the big like I can only imagine how it could be in the big cities like because if people are like being assholes like over here like in the smaller city I can only imagine what it's like in the big cities.
Yeah, it's stressful, but
Yeah,
I honestly I enjoy it. I really like it.
yeah, that's what's up. So you plan on you plan on doing like the Walgreens like store chain pharmacy like
Yeah,
being like
I think I'm gonna stick with community. I had my rotation at a hospital, a children's hospital, and I did not like the environment. Honestly, like they have no patient interaction. You're basically surrounded by nurses and doctors, and I literally just felt like, well, right now I don't know as much as I like need to know because I still have a lot of schooling left. But I just felt so dumb, like being around these people. I was like, oh my god, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Whereas like in the community field, you get to interact with like every patient. So this past flu season, I actually got certified to give flu shots.
Mhm.
So I probably gave like over like 2,000 flu shots from like August to December. And I loved doing that. So if I could become a pharmacist that just gives like vaccines, that would be sick.
Yeah, that would be dope.
But I like love like talking to people. I don't know. I think I'm like a people person. I like talking a lot. And the people
Hmm.
in the hospital pharmacies, like they don't say anything.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you guys like pass your day like this?
So it's like pretty much you're like in like a cubicle kind of like setting pretty much all day.
Yeah. So you basically just like interact with like the other people that work in the pharmacy, but you don't like see anyone else. It
Mm.
was weird. I didn't like it.
And like one of the things that I thought I can honestly like agree with you about like working in the hospital because I used to like work in the hospital just for like registering like patient information and stuff. It's kind of toxic. Do you think it's like them because people like to like because like I was the only male in there and like I don't want to like shit on the females that work in the medical field, but like it's literally just like them shit talking each other like all day. I'm just like, bro, this is toxic. I'm just like, I gotta,
I I feel like there's a lot of tension between like pharmacists and nurses. So they would
yeah,
the nurses talk about the pharmacists and the pharmacists like talk about the nurses. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is
yeah. I'm like, bro, this is toxic, bro. Like I feel like it's I feel like that's like one of the. I feel like that's not talked about like enough in the medical field about like how people like treat each other in like the hospitals and stuff and like that. I feel like that's like one of like a. I feel like that's a big thing because I've seen people actually like cry and like leave their
oh my
jobs
god.
because of like how toxic it is and like
I bet. I mean, it's also really sad, like seeing, especially like for me, I was like in like the children's hospital where I did my rotation, and like
mhm.
seeing all these kids having like open heart surgeries, like having all these things wrong with them. I was like, I don't want to be
Yeah,
around
yeah.
this. It's
And
really
then
sad.
yeah, that's another reason why I had to like leave too, because like I would like grow like bonds and like relationships because like most of like the people that came in were like old and like I would hear about like like someone that I was cool with that was old and they died. I'm like, oh
Oh
fuck,
my
man.
god.
I know, and I would just
Yeah,
be
it's
like, I was
sad.
like, I can't even like do this anymore. Cause I'm like
It's
growing
sad.
like yeah, cause like like I like like I'll grow a relationship with anybody. I don't care how old they are. But yeah, man, like that's like one of like the things that really like opened my mind to when I was like working in like in the medical field and stuff a little bit and dabbled in that. Uh what do you see yourself living in Chicago still after all this? After all
Um,
school and everything?
Honestly, Illinois, I would love to move out of Illinois. I think like taxes here are just like insane.
Yeah.
Everything's so expensive, but I don't want to leave my mom. So my plan is after we're done with pharmacy school, I like want to start a family, like have kids, and then I want my mom to take care of my kids. So they're like learning Albanian, they're like growing up like I did. So
Hmm.
I definitely want to be where my mom is. So if I like move out of state, then I'm gonna have to move my mom out of state too, because I'm not leaving her behind.
What's the dream state for you? What would be like your dream state?
I want to move somewhere warm. So I would say maybe like Florida, Arizona. Honestly, I've been looking at Texas lately, and the houses in Texas are like insane. And they're
Yeah.
so cheap. Like you can get like a mansion for so cheap.
Yeah, me and April have actually been looking at Texas and like too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's like one of the places on our radar. We were looking at like like the Upper West area and like Seattle and stuff, but then like all that shit happened. We were like, nah.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to move somewhere warm. I'm like sick of the cold.
Yeah.
My body is not made for this. The weather in Albania, like where we live, did not go past like 50, 40 degrees. So
Mm.
like no lower than that. So it was always like 50 degrees or higher. So it's just too cold here.
was it like was it like a dry heat, or was it like a how was like
Um,
the how would you like say like the weather?
I would say it's really mild. It's like even when it's cold, it doesn't really feel cold because there's always sun. So I don't
Mhm.
know. That's a good question.
Yeah. Were you is it by like a isn't Albania by like a body of like a large body of water as
Adriatic,
well?
the Adriatic Sea,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So did you ever get to like see that stuff? Like, as a
Oh
kid?
yeah, we would go to the beach for like a month straight every summer.
Yeah.
So like me and my dad and my brother, my siblings would always go to the beach for like a month straight. We'd just like that's what everyone there does.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know, like the way of living there is so different. Like people work really hard, but like I feel like people in America like make their life about work. Like everything
Yeah.
is like about work. Whereas there like people like work really hard, but they also have like a separate like personal life that they don't even like think about work, which is like what I like about retail pharmacy as well. Because like when you're at work, but then when you're home, you don't have to worry about anything.
Mm, mm.
That's like a big thing with me. I don't want to take work home with me. So like when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm home, like I'm spending time with like the people in my house.
Yeah, that's like one of the things for me too, because I'm actually like so I'm getting my last year invested into my company, so I have all my shares, and then like I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna finish school. I got like my financial stuff all handled. Now I just want to go to school. So like one of the things that like I was like, I stopped myself from doing was I would bring my work home, and like I would be thinking about work, and I'd just be like, fuck. I was like, I need to stop thinking about work. And then like, cause it would like make like it would make like the home environment like not like happy, cause like
Yeah, that's so true. Like
yeah,
you can't do that. No, I could never. I could never have a job where I have to bring it home with me. Like
yeah.
no. I
And
feel
that
like it like ruins like the family aspect of like things.
and then it made me realize I was like, I don't want to work in corporate America, cause what I'm going to school for now is pre-physical therapy.
Nice.
So I'm just like, I want to work in the medical field, because like I started there, and like I didn't because my mom, she worked in the medical field too, and she was a therapist for people that had like like mental health issues. Like there was this guy, like, so when I was like 11 years old, my mom was doing this stuff. There was this man, and he would always we she got him like an apartment and everything through like this
Wow.
program, but he would leave his apartment and go sleep on the bench at this park called Glen Oak Park. And he would leave his apartment, he would lock the door and everything, and then just go to the bench and sleep on the bench in Glen Oak Park. And I would just be like, man, why is this person like so like obsessed with just sleeping on the bench and stuff? And then I realized that like, because like most of like my family, they were either in the military, or they worked in the medical field, or they were some kind of like a police officer or whatever. And like I just realized for myself, I'm like, corporate, like doing like corporate stuff is not like, it's honestly, it's very toxic, and you ultimately sometimes bring that work home with you. And I think like the working in the medical field and stuff, I feel like in the working in the medical field, you're able to leave that stuff at work, because it doesn't like.
Yeah.
I feel like, do you think that the work of like being a pharmacist, do you think that your work piles on top of each other? Like, do you think that like your work piles on? Do you think that stuff like builds up like your work like load?
I don't think so because at the pharmacy, especially with like community pharmacy, whatever you like drops in the queue for that day, you have to do everything that day. So
Mm-hmm.
each day is like something different, unless you have to like follow up with the patient or like a patient's doctor. That's like the only thing that would be like ongoing. But other than that, like every day, like you have to finish the work for that day. That day you can like uh, push it to like the next day. But I also like speaking of the healthcare field, I hate how America's healthcare system is about like it's not about like preventing something, it's about treating something. So like in
Yeah,
Albania, like you are eating better, you're doing all these things to prevent diseases, whereas in America, you're like treating these diseases.
yeah.
So I hate that, but I mean, I don't think that's ever gonna change.
You and like and the thing about that is that like I feel like they want to have it that way so they can make more money.
100%.
And then, like, if you want to get into conspiracies, I think it's more of a population control kind of thing too. Because like
Probably.
because there's people that believe that, oh, there's too many humans, there's not enough space. there's not enough land for people to live on. But then you can drive 2 hours from Chicago to where I'm at, and there's nothing but farms. There's nothing but
Yeah,
just open land everywhere. And I'm just like, okay, so if there's too many people, like let's just start, moving them, spreading them out, like where all this
yeah,
open land is at then, like because like that's like because people get caught up because like that's like a lot of like excuses that I hear out of people that are rich or that have like trust fund kids. Like they'll say like, oh, the population is just the human population is too dense or whatever, or there's too many humans on the planet. Like we need to do this and do that, and we need to stop having too many humans. I'm like, there's so much land. What are you talking about? Like,
that's true. Yeah,
so
it's all crazy.
yeah. I think it's all I think it's all crazy. I think uh, uh, how so if you weren't gonna do working in like the store and stuff in the pharmacy, what else would you think you see yourself doing? And
Um, honestly, for a while, I've never thought about anything other than like the healthcare field. For a
hmm
while in high school, I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
yeah.
Um, but then I would have to go to medical school, and I really did not want to do that. But
hmm
I wanted to be a psychiatrist, and then I like went over to pharmacy. But if I wasn't doing like anything in the pharmacy field, I would honestly think I would make like a good cop.
Yeah.
But that's been like my like backup plan. I was like, I'll just be a cop.
Yeah. What were one of your like let's just say like if you could be like a singer, rapper, artist, or like what is like a childhood like dream that you've always wanted to hit?
I think I would, if I could be like anything artistic like that, I think I'd be a writer.
Yeah.
My dad, fun fact, my dad like used to write these like kid poems and like kid books in Albania. So
Mm.
I think I like get like that side of him. I like love like when I was little, I used to like perform like poems and stuff in like class. So I think like writing, I think I'd be a good writer.
Yeah. So with your like with Albanian culture and stuff in your background, how did like most of that stuff like affect like your decision making like in life, like how you choose like your partner in life, how you choose your like the things that you do, or like how you choose your friends and stuff, like how did that like affect like your like decision making?
Um, I think with my family or like with maybe like other Albanians growing up, like I think loyalty and like respect are like the two like big things like in all like Albanian people.
hmm
So and honestly, like I feel like Albanians are so independent. Like I've always been independent growing up. Like I've always like made like decisions for myself and like I haven't like needed anybody that much. But I think Albanians are like really strong people because we were raised that way. I think we've like gone through a lot of things, especially my family like moving here. I honestly think it's just like we make like careful decisions that like will like benefit us in the future. But
hmm
I like meant like I don't know if it's like a bad thing to say, but like mental like whatever like illness or whatever is not like a thing with Albanians. Like Albanians do not talk about their feelings.
hmm
Or like if I ever like were to tell my parents like I was depressed for some reason, they'd be like, "What do you have to be depressed about? Like there's nothing for you to be depressed about." So like emotions and stuff like that is like not something that like Albanian like families talk about.
hmm
So I've always like been like a really strong person, I think, where I don't like let like things like influence me. I don't know. It's
yeah.
hard to explain.
That's the same with like in black culture and black like black families and stuff. Like we like you don't really talk about like your feelings, like because like my parents would say like the same thing, like you have a roof over your head, you have this, you have that. What do you gotta be like sad about? Like
Yeah.
and then they'll say like there's kids over in Africa that don't have that. There's kids over in this area that don't have that kind of stuff. And then it make me be like, okay, yeah, you're right. And
It's
then like
true
you just
though. Like
and then
we
you
like
start
have a
to
lot of things that other people don't. It's so
Mhm.
true.
Yeah, and then like you kind of like it. I do want to. I don't want to say like you kind of like dismiss like your feelings at that time, and then when you get older as an adult and you start to experience like things like depression and like sadness and like anger and stuff like that, like you don't like having like that kind of background is definitely helpful. Like
Yeah.
because some people definitely cannot handle you know we would probably look at it as simple stresses. To them, it's like this is like the biggest like stresses like stressor in the world to them. Like
It's true.
yeah, let's just say the bills are late and we gotta like come up with some money. Like that's not like it's a stressor, but like on the levels of stress, it's not. It'll be higher. It'll be up here for somebody, but it'll be like right here because like we'll figure it out no matter what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. And like even with like anxiety and stuff, like I've never really struggled with anxiety where like I know like a lot of my friends that like were growing up here do. Like anxiety just has not been a thing for me. Like I know like Ben like gets stressed out when he like has to like work, or like if he hasn't worked for a while and he has to like go into work the next day, or if it's like a busy day or something like that, like he'll get really stressed out. And for me, I'm just like, you just got to do it.
Yeah, that's how my girlfriend is for me. Cause like when I got, cause like I'll come in like 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 it's Sunday, so Monday we got work, and I'm just like I don't want to go to work. I just want to I just want to go to school, and like I just want to go to school, and then she's just like she's like just tough it out. It's not
Yeah.
that big of a deal. But yeah, I'm like a big baby when it comes to that kind of stuff too. Um, so what is some of like the advice for people that want to go into the the field of pharmacy and like that kind of study? What kind of advice would you give to someone that starts?
Um, One of my big things is like not losing your personality while you're going into any professional field or like with anything at all, really. And I think a lot of people in our class, like they just let pharmacy like consume everything that they do. And I not like that at all. So I would definitely tell people to like keep their personality, like don't change that. Do like things that you love to do. Like school is not everything. Like, yeah, like do what you need to do in school, but like also have like your own like separate life. A lot of people just like let something that they do consume like their like whole like human being, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like I like keeping my school stuff separate and like things that I like to do in my like daily life separate as well.
Mm. Another question. So when you're studying, how do you build a good way to retain information? Like how long do you study for, and like how do you find this is for people that like have a like trouble with like retaining information and like studying, like what how do you like do like your studying, and how do you retain the information? Like what is a good way for you to do that?
Um, so we rewatch lectures. I love rewatching lectures and taking notes. And then I'll go over my notes and then make like note cards if I need to. But honestly, with like things that I need to memorize, this is like weird, I don't know, but I like think of it in Albanian, and
Mm-hmm.
then it like helps me like remember things. So like if anyone that like speaks a second language, I think thinking of things like in like your first language like honestly like helps like memorize them better, I think.
Mm.
So that's an advantage to people that are bilingual.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna end with this. What is one of the things you wish you knew as that you could tell your younger self?
um I would probably say don't like take yourself too seriously and like have fun
Yeah.
like while you can.
All right. Yeah, I fuck with that. All right. Is there anything that you want to plug, your Instagram or Twitter or anything?
Um, no, I think I'm good, but everyone should check out your music and Dad's music as well.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. All right, guys. This is another episode of the Things I Wish I Knew. The homie Enejada, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Oh, also fuck Liam Neeson. Bye, Billy. Thanks for having me on.
Ain't no problem.